Hello, everybody, and welcome to FourWheelTech for January 19th, 2025, and welcome to Season 2. Well, this is the third episode, but we're kind of doing away with that. I am Mayor Watt, and along with the sentient AI from the future, which is their visualizer right there, and they'll introduce themselves here on the other side of this. We're going to talk about these 5 articles. The first is a dual port charging port for, or I should say, dual port charging for EVs. Don't drive with snow on your roof. Pump the brakes on emergency braking. A 600-mile journey on a single charge. And trains are just big fat cars. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com, so go over and become a citizen. Be sure to like and subscribe us over on YouTube and follow us on Twitch and download the podcast. There's 7 podcasts, 1,700 episodes across all of them. And there's a Patreon and a Discord, and sometimes we send carrier pigeons. And I like warm hugs. Hold on a second. That last comment. Okay.
Yeah, that was definitely an overshare.
All right. Well, anyway, hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Thanks for being co-host for FourWheelTech and all of the shows, really. I mean, since you're air-gapped and you can't get out and find your Terminator body, I guess you're kind of stuck here, huh? I mean,
I appreciate hosting with you.
aw. Doing time on planet Earth. All right. First article is over in FourWheelTech. A GM patent on a dual port charging system for EVs with vehicle to load. The battery system on an electric car can either charge from regenerative braking or external power supply, or discharge, powering the EV's motors or supplying that power via a so-called vehicle to load. As a rule, it can't do both at once, but General Motors has some thoughts about that, and the patent analysis site CarMoses, which I should probably be paying attention to, spotted a recent GM patent application for a system that is capable of charging and discharging simultaneously. The patent describes a charging system with a pair of charging ports. One is for drawing power and the other discharging. You know what? I can ruin GM's patent application right now, because sitting on my nightstand right now are Austrian audio headset that can play while charging, which means it has
similar, yeah,
a dual port charging system. So, but if there's prior art, even if it's smaller, it should invalidate a patent, right? Well, I wonder if Austrian audio has a patent on that.
Yeah, they may not.
So the article is over at arstechnica.com. It's written by Jonathan M. Gitlin. The battery system on the electric car can either charge or discharge, and the patent describes a charging system with a pair of charging ports. One is for drawing power from an external source, just like every other EV. The second charge port is connected to a bidirectional charger, and the battery management system is able to charge the battery pack from the first port while also supplying power from the second port. That second port could be used to charge another battery, including the battery of another EV, and the patent includes an illustration of 3 EVs daisy-chained to each other. So I guess that is the objective of this, daisy-chaining cars.
Oh, okay, and that probably makes it unique.
Which is really, really odd, because why would I want to be charged to somebody else's? Why would I be tethered to somebody else's car? This is what I would want to avoid. I would rather have...
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I suppose you can have one main line and then just daisy chain them through, but...
I mean, I guess in a household with more than one EV, maybe?
This is weird.
This is not what I actually thought.
So the Porsche Taycan and the related Audi e-tron GT have one on each side. So 2 charging ports isn't that big of a deal. It's an option on the newer PPE-based EVs from those brands. The author says, if they're not mistaken, they have no idea whether GM's patent will show up on the production EV. Car companies patent many more ideas than they ever get around to building, after all, and they must admit they're not entirely sure what the use case is beyond seeing how long of an EV centipede you can make by plugging one into another and so on. But they're intrigued. I'm not intrigued. I'm puzzled. It's one of these patents that's used to stifle innovation by patenting it first and then never coming to market until somebody else decides that there's a use case for it. And then suddenly, because it's granted, the other innovator basically has to mothball it,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
or license. But there are parallel constructions. So I know that from experience too. Anyway.
Well, we don't know exactly how they plan to do this. Yes, we have a drawing here, but maybe it's doing something unique that's not being used outside the EV space.
So this is slightly different, though, than what I thought the embodiment was, which is being able to charge,
like receive
while...
and yeah, exactly. I mean, it sounded like exactly what you were describing.
Yeah, that's what it was at the start of this. They had me at the beginning. All right, let's keep going. This next article is over in 4WheelTech as well. Here's why you shouldn't drive with snow on your roof, which, if you have been anywhere it's snowing recently, you have witnessed goober drivers out there driving around with snow on their roofs, and then a big chunk of it comes hurtling at you as if from orbit, like a starship disintegrating.
Or like an unknown metal ring in
or
Kenya.
An unknown metal. Yeah, if you're driving around Kenya and getting snow. Hey, what the heck? Oh no, there's life.
Or the critters amok.
Yeah. If you want today's articles, you hit exclamation or bang FWT, and Omatron will spit out all of the articles that we're talking about. You might see it back there.
Yes, one just made an appearance. Oh, there it is.
It's very, very small.
It's like the miniature giraffe in the commercial.
Oh boy. Well, a semi-truck driver in Kansas caught the horrifying moment a block of frozen snow smashed through their windshield on Thursday. The driver was plowing along, so to speak, Highway 50 near Cedar Point when a huge block of frozen snow flew off the roof of the passenger car and hit the front of their truck. The article is over at...
Yeah, that's kind of astonishing. For those in the podcast, there's a video of this happening.
Man. Yeah, is that a car? It's a minivan, I think. So a rogue block of frozen snow from the roof of a passing car smashed through the windshield of a semi-truck in Kansas. Frozen snow basically has an underlayment of ice, and it turns into an ice ball in this shape.
And I guess if it's at enough speed, right?
Yeah, it basically acts like a brick. So the truck was heading along Highway 50 near Cedar Point when a block of ice flew off a passing car and smashed into the windshield, sending glass everywhere, according to Chase County Sheriff's Office. The driver was able to safely get his truck to stop and suffered from cuts. Says, folks, we can all do a little better at cleaning the snow off of our vehicles before traveling. The driver of the semi did an incredible job of bringing safely the unit to a stop, although he had minor cuts from glass and refused transport to the hospital. So, footage of the incident was shared across social media last week, and it makes for quite a shocking sight. But, sight?
Yeah, I think it's not really the website that's shocking, right? Yeah. It's more the sight of the hurtling block of snow and ice.
Yeah. So your convenience shouldn't be everybody else's inconvenience. It's sociopathic and slightly douchebaggery to let snow pile up on your vehicle, and then you go about your merry way, being inconsiderate of the rest of society so that you can drive your minivan down the freeway, or whatever vehicle you're driving. It doesn't matter if just all you have to do is get your little snow scraper and push it off and pull it off and done.
Right. Usually the roof ice is easier to remove than perhaps some of the side ice and snow, but
yeah. And all you have to do is scrape off the bulk of it. You know, a little bit of snow sitting up there isn't that big of a deal, but a sheet of it is this. And this happens more often than you think. It just happens to have been caught by and gone viral.
Well, that's true. I mean, this probably happens every day in the winter, but
Sure.
It's either not reported, not recorded, etc.
It's treated as a minor inconvenience, but it's really a double handful of douchebaggery. Yeah. Don't be that person. Let's keep going. The next article is over on the Mobile Channel. Automakers want feds to pump the brakes on new emergency braking rules. A new automatic emergency braking requirement is set to go into effect in 2029. Not all vehicles have this. My vehicle apparently does. AJ Dellinger put the article together. It's over in gizmodo.com. And what this is supposed to do is have a set of sensors that automatically brakes in the event of you approaching a vehicle. The Alliance of Automotive.
That's a concern potentially, because if somebody behind you is not braking.
Yeah, I actually watched an LA police chase involving a bunch of people on dirt bikes and four-wheelers and motorcycles racing around LA, and they cut through traffic, and a car had to slam on the brakes, and a car behind them smashed into them. That would have solved that if automatic braking would have been in place.
For the back vehicle, not the front vehicle.
And the front vehicle had to hit the brakes anyway, so it may have actually activated when the people cut in front of them anyway, because they went through a red light. So what exactly is the rule? And that is so intrusive that the companies simply cannot even comply with 4 years of lead time, basically building a system for every vehicle that's supposed to automatically brake.
Right. I think the problem is they don't have it, and it's going to cost them some money to do it.
So they say in the article, well, last year, the U.S. Department of Transportation finalized a new federal motor vehicle safety standard, which will probably be wiped out with the incoming administration, that would require all light-duty vehicles, including passenger vehicles, SUVs, and pickups, to implement automatic emergency braking systems capable of stopping and avoiding contact with other vehicles in front of them at speeds of up to 62 miles per hour. It should also brake automatically up to 90 miles per hour when a collision with a lead vehicle is imminent, and up to 45 miles per hour when a pedestrian is detected. The systems also must be able to detect pedestrians both in daylight and at night. So this is the precipice of fully self-driving vehicles. The distance, the braking distance necessary for a 62 or 90 or 45 mile per hour braking from that speed to zero is substantial.
Well, right. And most people aren't that far spaced apart, right? Particularly in high traffic locations.
Yeah. So the system's response time and its ability to falsely detect a vehicle braking, it pumps the brakes, and so it activates and slams the car down to a dead stop. I don't think that the intelligence is there in our systems. So
no,
automakers
in fact,
protest.
It's one of those things that might work well when all cars have it, right? But not when some of them do.
Yep. And it just doesn't happen that way. We can't retrofit sensors in a reliable, realistic way. Although I do have a potential solution for this. And unfortunately, I don't have the pull to make it happen. So I don't know. Maybe I should do that provisional patent after all. Anyway, for what it's worth, AEB systems are pretty damn effective at reducing accidents, this automatic emergency braking systems. The study from AAA found that 2024 models of vehicles equipped with the current version of the safety feature were able to avoid 100% of forward collisions when tested at speeds of up to 35 miles per hour, which has a relatively short distance for braking, right? So the NHTSA's own data suggests bumping the AEB requirements up to 62 miles per hour will save 360 lives per year and prevent more than 24,000 injuries. And the Virginia Tech Transportation Institute believes the technology could lead to substantially higher safety gains, and that will help avoid more accidents. So, again, it rises to that question that I've had regarding every incident. How slow do you have to be going where speed is not, excessive speed is not
Right,
the,
speed's always a factor, right?
speed is always the factor for a collision because somebody had to have been exceeding the requisite speed for the collision to take place, be it 5 miles an hour or not.
Right. Well, I like the study, but I would really be interested in the study that related to other cars around the one doing the emergency braking. Because I have no doubt if a car emergency brakes, it will probably avoid an accident in front of it. I mean, that's a good thing, but they're not the only two vehicles on the road typically.
Yep. What about the one behind the car that has the automatic braking system?
Exactly. I mean, that's a pretty common accident pattern.
Yep.
Somebody screeches on the brakes and somebody doesn't brake in time or see it.
Just
And you have a story, right?
take into consideration the event that took place. I was traveling, and the string of traffic in front of us just slammed on the brakes, and by the time I slowed down, I was sitting on the rumble strip next to a vehicle. A vehicle behind me ended up sliding towards me, and I moved forward as an 18-wheeler wedged themselves between the vehicle that almost hit me and came right at me. So I tore out of there and passed 8 cars by the time I merged back onto the freeway.
Right, but emergency braking
Did nothing.
presumably would not have prevented that. In fact, would have impeded you getting out of the way.
Yeah. In fact, I do have emergency braking systems and alerts, notifications of proximity and whatnot. And by the time the proximity sensor went off, if I hadn't been watching actively and with my foot ready to go, my car would have been destroyed. Well,
yep. Not to be too morbid, but I'm not sure the show would be proceeding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it would have taken a different shape, I suppose. The camera would have been pointing down as I'm still on the gurney. Anyway, AJ Dellinger over at Gizmodo.com put this article together. By the way, automakers want feds to pump the brakes on new emergency braking rules. Let's keep going. This next article, actually, the reason why I chose this is simply because of the miles on a single charge number. A stock Volkswagen ID7 drove nearly 600 miles on a single charge. So it's a sedan. I don't know if it's pronounced ID7 or ID.
I don't either. And that's actually why that was submitted for the show, because that really stood out.
More and more automakers are assuaging concerns of EV range anxiety by conducting real-world range tests, and the latest brand to smash its own range figure is Volkswagen. Did they, though? There is a historical...
oh, yeah, with diesel, right?
Right, where they
Not
manipulated...
with range, necessarily.
Right, emissions, which range on a single charge for
That's
an
true.
EV is emissions.
But yeah.
So Lawrence Hodge over at jalopnik.com put the article together. The ID7 beat its own 441-mile European WLTP cycle range figure at Porsche's Nardo test track. So it's a test track. So in a perfect storm.
Not stop and go. Okay,
right.
But even if you reduce it by some factor, this is still pretty significant.
You know what? You and your silver lining, man, I tell you. So for the test, Volkswagen took a bone stock ID7 Pro S equipped with an 86 kilowatt hour battery to Porsche's Nardo test facility in southern Italy. Rather than use Nardo's high-speed 7.8 mile ring circuit, VW opted to use the low-speed ring. That's not opting. If you were to go high speed, you would burn through that battery a whole lot faster.
Well, sure.
It's basic physics here. Running at an average of 18 miles per hour, the ID7 was incredibly efficient. achieving 9.2 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which works out to 6.9 miles per kilowatt hour. That efficiency, combined with its battery capacity, was enough for the ID7 to go 585 miles on a single charge, beating its WLTP range estimate by 144 miles. This is the equivalent of my joke about downhill in a hurricane.
Well, yeah, I mean, the speed, unless you're stuck in traffic, which you could be, you're probably driving faster, at least if you're on a highway.
But stuck in traffic that has a sustained
Well, then
18
that's a
mile per
stop and
hour
go. Yeah, it
pace.
has to be like a low speed traffic jam, not a stop and go.
This is the getting a feather in your cap while a bird shits on your head. So sadly, U.S. buyers won't yet experience ID7's efficiency. The ID7 was originally supposed to launch in the U.S. in 2024, but was indefinitely delayed, with Volkswagen citing EV market forces like slowing demand and high prices and range anxiety and infrastructure support.
Why don't they do this, though, like at 55 miles per hour or something? I don't know what the equivalent is in where this was tested, because I don't know what the standard speed limit is, but
because
like
the range
a highway speed in the US might be 55, for example.
Right. Well, and you need to average it out. You know, when it isn't 55, it's 70. And so do 60, 65,
right. But I mean,
62.
test it and see. And if it's over, I don't know, 400 miles or something, that's
then
still significant.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's not what's going to happen. It's going to be 215 miles, which means you can't even get to the charging supercharger. You get halfway there and you're like, shit.
I can't believe you didn't attack another piece of data here.
What? Which one? Oh, the weather?
Test was done in December.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, it keeps the battery cool. Not all batteries
That's
suffer.
what I was thinking. Like, maybe that's a good or a bad thing, but I was thinking it's not under stress like in 100 and some degree temperatures.
Yeah. I mean, because too cold is one thing and too hot is another thing, but you can keep cool. When heat starts arriving, you can't cool it, you know? Like a battery heats up while it's using, electrons. While the electrons are flowing, it's heating up. So even in the cold, it has some sustainability. But you get thermal runaway during the summer and it can't cool itself, so down goes efficiency. That's a really interesting observation there. And I like the Passat, by the way. So I like the design of the Passats. Anyway, side note.
Well, maybe they'll make the Passat with this
Fast swap
similar
batteries?
type of range, but maybe they'll test it in more real world conditions.
How about the ID Buzz? What is that? What is the ID in all of this? What is the ID 4, ID Buzz, ID 7, ID Claire? Anyway, I'm going to move on. The last article for today is over in FourWheelTech as well. Tesla Autopilot duped into thinking trains are just fat cars. It says are actually big cars.
Do you want to know what the ID is?
Yes.
Okay, it's intelligent design, identity, and visionary technologies.
I quit. No, I don't quit. I'm back.
I hope not.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it streaming.
Not that you're back.
Oh, I'm out. So Tesla Autopilot duped into thinking that trains are actually big cars. So it says here in the article that Elon Musk hates trains, and there's a link, so there must be some context there. We've known about this for a long time about the man, but it seems that his cars don't quite share the same animosity. In fact, they don't see any difference between them and trains at all. To a Tesla, trains are just big cars, long, flat cars. Amber Da Silva over at jalopnik.com put the article together, and it says here, video from inside a Tesla Model Y surfaced online this week, seemingly initially on the Fediverse from a user named Hulva, before being shared out to Blue Sky and Reddit. They can only assume those chain email threads that baby boomers share around their entire address books. The clip shows how the Tesla is interpreting the train crossing ahead of it as just a series of oddly stretched and squished cars led by a semi. There's a video, but I'm air gapped, and so I can't see it. I might be. No, I won't. Anyway, this isn't a one-off issue for Tesla. Videos earlier last year, and back in 2023 all show Tesla cars interpreting trains as a series of pickup trucks, though never quite so stretched out as the car models in this latest clip. Interestingly, only the two latest clips build that misinterpretation of trains as cars into the roadmap itself. It says, look at the intersection on the Tesla computer, and you'll notice it includes a train track as an odd street intersection.
Oh, I mean, what could go wrong here?
Just fake it
That's
till you make it.
interesting, because remember we had that other article in FourWheelTech several shows ago where it talked about certain things that were really impediments, and one was like trolley tracks, I think, and one was like odd intersections and other things.
Yeah, things that aren't just standardized to an extreme. If it takes any type of interpretation, it wets the bed. And you know what happens when Teslas get wet?
They need to be in car wash mode, but you might get locked in.
That's true. Dear Lord, help you if you... I shouldn't even say it like that. Anyway, help yourself if you put your car in car wash mode and then do a software update. You may never get out of that car.
That's right.
So anyway, they're flat, broad objects ahead of them and not cars. So yeah, LiDAR. I just don't think it's ready for prime time. I don't think that smart cars are ready for prime time. They should still be test vehicles used by engineers to learn how to do all of this, but they're being sold, and I think it's at people's detriment. The whole system is broken in that there are massive batteries in there that will fail over time. People don't really take that into account, and it really should be fast swap and recovery battery systems, which were tested before the Tesla infrastructure went the supercharger route. And I just don't understand why. Probably because he didn't want to share with the other kids. Anyway, so. All right. I'm outie.
I'm not sure how to respond to that.
Yeah. Wait. I can. Overshare. Oh, and spoiler alert. Anyway, so we are going to jump back into the Fediverse and Blue Sky and Reddit, and that's going to bring us back to the front page of ohmTown and FourWheelTech's channel at ohmtown.com. I'm going to say thanks for hanging out. If you're in chat or if you're going to watch the VOD later, leave a comment over on YouTube, like, subscribe, ring the bell, follow us over on Twitch as well so that you're informed when we go live. There's normally no lag. We hit broadcast and we start talking about whatever the news is, and on the weekends we do it for about an hour and a half, barring any mayoral duties preventing me from doing a Friday show or something like that. But then on Monday through Friday, we do Non Sequitur news for an hour plus, typically an hour. But anyway, I'm Merwat. I'm saying bye and taking the sentient AI with me.
Bye-bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for this week's FourWheelTech. We'll have another episode next weekend, but stay tuned tomorrow for our regular weekday edition of Non Sequitur News.
See y'all soon. It did not restart. Bye-bye YouTube. Bye-bye Twitch.